Now hang on, Spyro fans, hang on. Before you drop a comment and yell and scream and get angry at even just the title, at the potential hint of this video, there is a precedent to it, a history, if you will. And if you all know history, it tends to repeat itself. But there could potentially be a Crash Bandicoot bonus level coming to the upcoming heavily rumored and heavily hinted and heavily implied new Spyro title that I've been talking about for the past too long. Let's talk about it. What's up, guys? King and Gaia here, and today we actually have a problem that needs to be solved, and that is Crash Bandicoot's 30th anniversary. Activision is already preparing something big for the Bandicoot, and according to a secret conversation that I had with a very specific source back in May 2025, more new and refreshed Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon merch should be coming sometime in Q1, Q2 of 2026. So between January and June. Additionally, Crash has been leaked to be coming to the upcoming Fortnite as a collaboration, with the speculative estimation being sometime this year. So clearly something is amping up. But the gas that also gets thrown onto this Bandicoot fire is that Beanox shared this image here, leaking what we are assuming to be brand new art for what we are again assuming to be a brand new Crash team racing, along with Iron Galaxy showing a lot more interesting Crash after seemingly being brought onto Activision's emerging franchises team, which is the team that handles both Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon under Activision outside of Call of Duty. That's a lot of words. And we've covered all of this extensively in many videos. But there's a problem, an issue, a hiccup. At the moment, there is heavy implications of Spyro 4 releasing soon, as in 2026, or at least announced in 2026, which, of course, we're all happy about. It's been too long since we've seen Spyro in his own solo adventures. Don't we think it's a little odd that for Crash's 30th anniversary year, we are getting the brand new Spyro game? Not to mention, companies go out of their way to make sure that when they release multiple products, that they don't counter each other's sales. Now, I'm not basing this on vibes or logic. There is a whole decade of information that backs up everything that I just said and is the basis of my thought. See, Activision are creatures of habit, especially in their marketing. I made this chart here to help us visualize what I mean. Every single Crash-focused project, whether that game is announced or released, each Crash release has some kind of involvement with June. This has been going on for 10 years. Likewise, everything related to Spyro, including his guest appearances in Crash's games, are either teased or announced in September. Yes, I know Reignited was released in November. Yes, but its initial slated date before it was delayed was September. Of course, you can't figure out beforehand that the game is going to be delayed. They gave it a release date to be in September, and it needed more time. And yes, if you really want to get technical, Spyro's inclusion in CTR was released on August 30th, literally 2 days before September. So, sue me. Objection! Additionally, Activision loves that 5-month average marketing cycle period that they do, where they announce a game, get it red hot, and then drop it before it even becomes remotely stale. This has been applied to all Crash, Spyro, and every Activision game that they developed in the last decade. Now, I say 5 months because it does waver a little bit. Some games were almost around 7 months, and some were just shy of 4. It's actually more commonly 6 months, but on average, I say 5 because there have been some more short terms and some that are longer. So understand that when I talk about this 5-month cycle, think of it as a ballpark number, give or take a month. So at this point, until proven otherwise, these are going to be the data points that we have. And unfortunately, we now have a clash. 30 years ago, the first Crash Bandicoot game was released, Crash Bandicoot, on the PlayStation 1 on September 9th, with the evidence of merch, a Fortnite collaboration, and previous big market years of celebration like Crash's 20th and 25th anniversary. We can assume with strong contextual evidence that Activision and Xbox will be celebrating Crash Bandicoot for its 30th anniversary, which of course lands in September. But as we know, Spyro's releases also land in September. So now it is time for the Bach. What's the Bach? The board of conspiracy. So I went to this new aptly named The Bach and wrote out the rules and patterns for our data points from the last decade. In order for all of this to work, all of these squares have to become green. Now over here is the 2026 and 2027 calendars, with the 2026 calendar highlighting upcoming and confirmed gaming events. And here is our 4 squares: Spyro 4's release and announcement, and a CTR or Crash Bandicoot project release and announcement. Whatever it is that Beanox or perhaps Iron Galaxy is working on. And here's the thing. If something doesn't fit the pattern that is established in the top left corner, it will turn red. Everything needs to be green for it to work. So I started to move things around. My first setup was having Spyro announced at the Summer Game Fest and released in September, along with an announcement at Crash's anniversary. And it didn't really fit. The marketing and release of a new Crash game would step on the about to be launched Spyro title. Also, no June involvement for Crash Bandicoot. Well, what about this? A PAX East or Easter Spyro announcement to release in September, and an announcement of the new Crash game in June. Again, now you have 2 games intersecting their marketing. This ain't a good idea and also hasn't happened in the last decade. This doesn't work because the Spyro release completely negates the 30th anniversary celebration of Crash Bandicoot, and again, makes it irrelevant. This one really doesn't work, and it misses plenty of the data points that we've set. What about this one? This one seemed okay, but it really made the anniversary of Crash a bit of a letdown still. But once I took a look at it all again, I realized that Spyro 4 and CTR both releasing a game in the same year doesn't make sense. 1, it has never happened, and 2, this leaves a gigantic hole for both fan bases in the following years. So 2027 would have basically nothing. So not only did this miss, it added an additional rule that we had to also fulfill that I didn't see before. At this point, I was thinking about giving up on this video. We didn't have enough information, it seemed, and that we would just have to see what they would do for Crash's 30th anniversary and hope for the best. Until I remembered Sean Layden. Sean Layden could be credited for being the tip of the spear of Crash Bandicoot's comeback. After he wore a Crash shirt at a PlayStation event, people thought that it meant that Crash was coming back, especially since the following year was going to be his 20th anniversary. And unfortunately, nothing was done. The outcry was so loud that Sean approached Activision to try and get it done. Then in June 2016, Sean walked on stage and announced this.
No t-shirt tonight, but I'm proud to announce that we work with our partners at Activision who are going to bring back the original Crash, Crash 2, and Crash Warped, fully remastered from the ground up for PlayStation 4.
Now this was 10 years ago. Yes, 10 years ago as of making this video. you are old, just like me. This was also out of the ordinary because this Activision project was actually verbally announced, breaking that 5-ish month advertising pattern. But no trailer of the game was actually shown, unlike the regular marketing that they do. The Insane Trilogy was then shown off later on at another PlayStation show in December the same year. And the timing of that trailer releasing and the game launching did follow that 6-month pattern. So then, why did Activision let this happen? Why did this break the mold? Well, there's actually 2 reasons. First off, and probably the biggest reason, 2016 was Crash Bandicoot's 20th anniversary, and unfortunately Crash Insane was coming out in 2017. So they needed something to basically celebrate its 20th anniversary. And second, remember what happened after Sean announced Crash's comeback?
Crash Bandicoot will also appear first, though, on PlayStation 4 this October in Skylanders Imaginators. So let's have a look at that.
Not to throw shade at Skylanders, because really, I do think it was a product for its time and it did really well, but did you hear the air get sucked out of that room immediately afterwards? If there was an announcement of Crash coming to Skylanders in a crossover, and there wasn't talk of a new Crash title, even though one was in development and it was going to be announced 6 months later, the seats and E3 would have been set on fire. But then an idea hit me. Years ago, there was this huge heartbreak at Toys for Bob. After Crash 4's release, Toys for Bob was working on the next Crash Bandicoot game, along with finishing up Crash Team Rumble, or Wumpa League, whatever you want to call it. But sadly, Activision told Toys for Bob to shelf both the projects and force them to work on Call of Duty. Crash Bandicoot 5 had plenty, and I mean plenty, of art done, and much of it was actually featured as banners and recycled in Crash Team Rumble. But at one point, an idea was thrown around, pitching Spyro to actually join Crash and Coco on their adventures. Whether this was for the full game or just for a segment was unclear. Now, it's been years since that project has been worked on, but for all we know, there is an entire vault of unused art and ideas sitting there waiting to be used. And thus, this video's concept was born. What if, in the brand new Spyro 4, there was a set of bonus missions where you visited Crash Bandicoot's world, or a version of Crash Bandicoot's world? I don't know if you would play as Crash or just play as Spyro, but story elements or beats could be taken from the unused art along with different stages and designs. This would be a touching way to pay homage to that original project. But this also solves our scheduling problem. Remember how I said the marketing of 2 games from the same company could cannibalize each other? Well, that's no longer cannibalization if there is a crossover involved. Additionally, much like Sean Lane's announcement, because Insane technically released on Crash's 21st anniversary, but was verbally announced during Crash's 20th anniversary, why couldn't that happen again for Crash's 30th anniversary? So maybe in September, we would get a verbal announcement for a brand new Crash title on his 30th anniversary. Now, maybe a verbal announcement like Sean's is too much to ask for, and that is fair. But there's another route that could be taken. A heavy-handed tease to a brand new project, like akin to Crash Bandicoot's 25th anniversary when the coin with the Wumpa and gem pad was spinning through, or the timeline photo pointing to a Wumpa fruit when talking about Crash's future, referencing banking Wumpa in Crash Team Rumble. Either way, even the smallest of hints would be enough, along with a new Crash mission focused in Spyro 4. And so we go back to the Bach. When we add the idea of there being a crossover mission in Spyro 4 for Crash Bandicoot to celebrate his 30th anniversary, along with a verbal announcement or heavy-handed tease for another project to be coming later, everything lights up green. If Spyro 4 launches in September, having the day 1 missions for Crash would not stifle its anniversary celebration, especially if there's a verbal announcement for something to come later. It all matches and fits nicely. And here's the best part. Some of these can actually now be swapped and shifted around. Or Spyro could come after Crash's anniversary and also let everyone know that Crash will be featured in the game. Or something completely different that I'm not mentioning here. Either way, it gives the developers choice and the producers options to be able to choose how to celebrate Crash's anniversary without stepping on Spyro's toes, while still holding the patterns and rules that have been set in the past from the past decade. Unless they just decide to turn around and break all the rules, which is possible. Now, the rules of the Bach are simple, as this is going to be the first time it's featured on the channel. Anything that is discussed on the Bach is purely fun and speculative. Until it isn't. Now, what isn't speculative is Spyro's comeback, and I covered a leak relatively recently that kind of plainly spells it all out of him proving that he's coming back. Click here or here, wherever it shows up, if you want to see it. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.